noticeable?
You know what? It just, when you're up here and looking down and out over the lake, you can really tell, but didn't really notice as much on the field there for whatever reason.
When you went back and looked at the Arizona game, what stood out?
I think the thing that stood out the most was when we needed to get a scoring drive going in the second half there, the players' ability to respond, to really not flinch, even though things hadn't gone perfectly for us in the red zone a couple times earlier in the game. And Gino did a great job of having poise, stood tall in the pocket on a couple plays there, some movement plays where they brought a bunch of different pressures and was able to lead us into a scoring drive there with Ken Walker finishing it off. That was a good moment for us on offense, knowing that some games are going to need those type of plays to get us where we need to be to win the game.
What else was it before then? Because Gino took some sacks that we haven't seen him take. Pete said not getting the ball out as fast, but Arizona's fronts, too, also played it.
Yeah, I think Arizona did a nice job. They were mixing and matching a lot of different personnel groupings and patterns and moving guys around. And like is usually the case with sacks, there's a lot of different things that go into each individual sack that occurred. But we'll keep pressing the envelope on getting the ball out in rhythm, getting guys open, and all 11 really taking part in preventing those sacks in the future.
Is this weekend any different for you with the familiarity that you have with Brandon?
It's still another hard week in the NFL, and Brandon Staley's done an excellent job. He was such a great defensive coach the year I got to spend with him with the Rams, and just his knowledge of the game, his understanding of both offensive football and defensive football, is at such an elite level that he's just great conversations and a great guy to really try to pick his brain and learn more from. So it'll be a great challenge. I know he's going to do a great job with, his different mixing and matching of personnel groups like we saw this past week. And, it'll be our job to try to figure out, that scheme as early as we can and see how we can adjust to it.
He's known for being really aggressive, going for it on offense. Could you ever see yourself being as aggressive as he is, going for it in your own territory and stuff like that?
Yeah, he is aggressive going for it. I think them in Detroit, I believe, are two of the league leaders in terms of going for it on fourth down. And I think he has a philosophy there that he sticks with, and the team backs him on, and they know they're prepared. And I think for us, philosophically, we look at those as individual moments, and there's been certain moments where we have gone for it, and certain moments where we're going to say we're going to punt it and play defense. And I think it's an ever-evolving and a process of understanding, with the balance of analytics and the balance of the flow of a game. So I think for me personally, it's just something that I'm continuing to learn from and try to see, what are the best judgment calls you can make in those scenarios.
The direct snap play to Ken when Gino sort of had to fake like it was going over his head and all that. I guess that play and how their execution of that play and how much that kind of helped make that one.
Yeah, I think the players did a great job of bringing that to life. Again, it goes back to Gino having that good understanding of the defensive structure and where there's some things that he can get to in a toolbox that he has to utilize and get to him at the right time. He did an excellent job there of getting to it, the O-line executing, keeping the targets correct, and Austin Blythe with a nice poise snap to Ken, and Ken did the rest. So it's great to see the players and their natural ability to make some of those things come to life in some of those critical third down moments.
How's Gino's acting?
Say that again.
Gino's acting.
Oh yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I think at least one or two people might have thought the ball went over his head. So he did his part, but primarily got us into the right play there.
Was the way that Arizona doubled and bracketed DK and Tyler different than you had seen from other teams earlier in the year?
There had been some times where teams have done that, and just like any other game plan, there's going to be, what's the nuance to that week, and had an inclination that there would be some double teams going on with the way the targets have been distributed to DK and Tyler right there, and so when that does occur, I think Gino did a nice job distributing the ball. Multiple guys got catches. Noah Fant, I think, led the way with the amount of receptions in the game right there, and then D. Eskridge and Marquise Goodwin and the other tight ends, the running backs, everyone coming to life when they're going to try to do a good job of taking those guys away.
How much do they move Mac around, and how kind of knowing where he is? How kind of
yeah, I mean, it's imperative to know where he is. He's an elite player in this league. He's been doing it at a high level for a long time, and I always think one of the challenges of going against Mac is his ability to play all three downs at such a high level. He's an elite pass rusher. His speed to power is second to none, but then he's also savvy in the run game, playing on the edges on the play action. So just need to know where he's at all times, and they do a nice job of balancing him up so he's not just in one spot throughout the course of the game.
What kind of progress have you seen from D. Eskridge last couple of weeks, and do you think he's going to be used a little bit more going forward?
Yeah, he's done a great job of just like we talked about when he was hurt, staying into it, staying, mentally ready to go, and then knowing that the challenge is always going to be for younger players, getting back into it after camp is already over. All right, how can you work in practice and get yourself to that mode where you've developed into being ready to play in the game? I think he did a great job with just putting his head down and working, right? And there's no replacement for hard work. He's done it. He's had bad luck as far as not always being able to be on the field, but he's kept his head down and worked. And I think that we're starting to see some of the progress being made where he's on the field more and more in practice, and that practice performance is now starting to lead to the production in the games. So looking forward to him being more a part of it as he keeps going.
Sorry about that. Are you guys requiring more precision out of that position than you have in years past with the way that they do things?
With the receiver position, I think anytime we're going out there in the passing game, to me that the decision, timing, and accuracy that we're asking the quarterbacks to really hold to a high standard to get to that, the receivers being detailed in their routes, being when they're where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there, is a big part of it. And we talked about sometimes you get into the games where there's some sacks that come along, and we talk about how the receivers, the O-line, the running backs, everyone has an equal part in that. And when you go back to the ability to run precise routes and get open in the timing and rhythm of the play, that's something we're pressing for the receivers. And I think what I've seen with a lot of guys that are younger receivers that we have, and then with some guys that are veterans like Tyler and Marquise, really developing into our offensive system and growing with it as everyone has as we've been around each other more and more.
We talked about that direct snap to Ken Walker, but what else did you like about him in his first time kind of being the go-to guy?
Well, when he takes a 4-yard run, all of a sudden it's a touchdown or a 20-yard run. Those are always exciting when you're calling the plays, and alleviates the play calling a little bit right there. But no, he did a great job of breaking tackles, getting yards after catch. Or yards after contact, there, especially going down the right sideline when it looks like he's, tackled for a minimal gain with a couple of different Cardinals around him, and he's able to power through and doing a great job as a rookie with the ball security, knowing that if he's going to break some tackles or make some people miss, not doing it at the expense of the ball being out there or put out there for the defense to attack. So, just played with great poise and can't wait to see him just continue to grow as he gets more and more experience.
Is that just lower body strength, or is that just the way that he runs that he was able to force that many missed tackles?
I think a combination. You saw him at Michigan State and his ability to make some lateral cuts and really accelerate through contact with power. So he does. He's got a powerful lower body that he can really run through arm tackles with, but he's also got that niftiness to really make those explosive lateral cuts.
Do you need to get more running backs involved, sort of more going forward at all, or?
I think, with Tony Jones coming on board and with DJ Dallas getting his share, I think every game, like we've talked about in the past with the running back position, just plays out differently with the flow of the game. I think all those guys they'll be up and active are capable of handling more and more. And with Tony, he's done an excellent job of coming in here recently and picking up the playbook, understanding the offense, and, ready to make more and more contributions on the offensive side, not just on special teams.
Is there how far is too far for a quarterback to drop back to the point where he's not doing service to his tackles?
It really depends on the protection scheme, and so without getting too far into the scheme, all of our stuff is really that depth of the pocket. That's something that we talk about with depending on what the scheme is that we've called.
Anything else? Thank you.
Good to go. All right, thank you.